very good evening to all our viewers, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Dewan Jabela, your host. Let's have a look at today's front page of Namibian Sun. As we saw on the front page, the main story there, which is also really on the front pages of all other dailies today, is that of the recalling of independent Patriots for Change councillors for the city of Windhoek. Tonight we have one of them, Desiree Davids, to speak to us about this issue that has divided opinion across the country. Des, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Toivo.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. Councillor, as a matter of fact, am I calling you Councillor correctly, or am I actually out of protocol when I call you Councillor, given what has transpired in the past couple of days?
Legitimately, I'm still a councillor, as recognized or sworn in according to the Constitution. Mm-hmm. But I would not mind if you call me by any name that you're comfortable with. Yeah. Indeed.
Mm. So we are confused. There's so much that is being said as far as your supposed recall from the city council by your party is concerned. And there are varying versions. One time we are reading that you've been recalled. Other people said that that decision has been rescinded. We have seen your lawyers also writing to the party demanding that they reinstate you unless they provide evidence of your wrongdoing and stuff like that. Let's go to the very beginning of this whole thing. You applied for land from the city council, and that doesn't seem to have pleased your party in many ways. What did you do wrong?
I don't want to speculate that there's been any wrongdoing.
Yeah.
Myself and another colleague of mine actually formally applied through the prescribed process. The process started in January, actually. So we applied according to the procedure that is set aside for councillors that are first-time homeowners that are interested in applying for land within the boundaries of the city, and also on condition that whatever urns they are applying for have already been offered to the public one, and then secondly have been offered to the staff of the city. So the application was then submitted through the Department of Housing, and which department then in return submitted it to the office of the CEO. The CEO then submitted the application to the Strategic Executive Forum, and the Strategic Executive Forum in return submitted the application to the Management Committee, of which I'm a member.
Yeah.
I recused myself from the Management Committee. However, I then later learned that no decision was taken, so I just want to put it on record that I did not receive any land. Management Committee also does not take decisions whether to approve applications that come. The item was sent back to the department. It never reached council. So I was easily flabbergasted when I saw that I was being accused of using my office for gratification, that I'd influenced the various departments to speed up my application.
Yeah.
Because as a perk that has been approved or afforded to councillors, there is no queue. And also, as I previously mentioned, the portions of land have been offered to the public. So in that instance, you would know it is just a procedural item. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. That seems to be within procedure at the city as far as the existing frameworks are concerned. Yesterday, I physically bumped into one of your leaders in IPC during lunch, and I asked if I could speak to this leader about your case, and the leader was gracious enough to allow me to sit across the table and while he was having his bite. And this person said that while your action might have been correct procedure within the confines of the city, your party somehow has a principle that leaders must eat last, and therefore on that basis you shouldn't have gone for that application that early into your tenure. What do you make of that argument?
Okay, I just want to put it on record that I'm still a member of IPC. I would still honor my duties and application as a party member. I would have thought that our direct employer is the ministry, although we are on the ticket of our parties. The terms and conditions of employment, the contract under which we operate, are set aside by the ministry. And I would have felt that procedurally, had there been any restrictions or limitations in terms of the benefits afforded to councillors, that should have been communicated to us in writing. Okay, I want to validate my statement by saying that when the inductions took place, both by the city and by the ministry, we were then informed about the benefit. But we were also informed that because the duration of a councillor's period is only for 5 years, it is imperative that we note that you only have 5 years to pay for this specific piece of land, which practically means, because we're paying at an interest rate, the longer you wait, the higher your installment was going to be for that specific portion that you've applied. However, the application would only be approved once the line minister has approved it. That is the final stage of approval.
So it would have, after management council, it would have still gone to full council and then to the ministry for final approval?
After full council, it would go to an advert for any objections. And after the objections, if there was none, it would have gone to our line minister, for approval.
Indeed. Now, there was also this issue that I read today in the papers, that there was something about a mayoral stamp or letterhead being used in your application irregularly. Is that what you did?
First of all, I would like to say that all councillors in the city of Windhoek fall under the office of the mayor. The office of the mayor does not solely consist of the mayor himself. All councillors in that office, once we write letters, memorandums, are written on the letterhead of the office of the mayor, because that's our office. But we also do not do administrative duties. We do have support staff who've always been writing the memos or the letters that are written by council members. So in my case, the support staff wrote the letter according to the template that was provided by the respective department. They then gave me the letter to read. I read the letter through. I signed the letter, they stamped the letter, and then sent the letter to the relevant department, as it's been practice or culture within the city. Yes.
And the involvement of the Anti-Corruption Commission into this matter, I understand that you and your fellow party member, Mr. Philemon Hambuda, who is also the chairperson of the management committee, were summoned to the ACC, or you gave some sort of answers. Tell us about that. Were you arrested? Were you called to their office and gave your version? What transpired in that regard?
I have not been summoned to ACC as reported by Eagle FM. I cannot speak on behalf of my former colleague, Councillor Philemon Hambuda. What I do want to tell you that is I am not fearful of any channel or any organ within the judiciary where the allegations of corruption or misuse of office or whatever allegations are being made, because I believe that I've done nothing wrong. I followed the procedure and I believe that I will be vindicated. So whether the matter has been reported, I cannot confirm or deny because I was not informed formally whether the matter has been reported. But as for myself, I've not been summoned.
Yeah. So you never got any call from ACC asking you to give any sort of evidence from your part?
Nothing.
Nothing. Tell me, Councillor, against that background that you gave now, the procedures that you followed, the provisions that are in place that enabled you to lodge your application for land in the manner that you did, why have you been recalled by why did we see this information coming from your party that you've been recalled on? I mean, there's no denying, given the National General Secretary has confirmed that you were recalled. And you also mentioned that, well, I believe that on Saturday, last weekend, you attended a party meeting at which you were told to either resign or risk being recalled. Or on what basis is that happening?
I want to say that, yes, I do indeed confirm that there was a meeting that took place on Saturday, the 7th of August. I cannot divulge much in terms of the content of the meeting, but I can also just tell you that I've not received any formal communication by my party that has informed me that I've been recalled. The letter that was written to my party office on behalf of myself through my lawyers of Duvenhagen had addressed all the issues, which means that the issues that were practically addressed and seen by the various media houses has now become a public document. And that document clearly articulates the issues in terms of what was said in the social media, the impressions that were created, how it was affecting my political career, and also specifically speaking to the sections in the constitution of IPC that speaks to all people being equal, according to section 2.3, but I've not been recalled. The meeting did take place. I'm still a party member. I'm still a councillor on suspension. But then also, I have not interfered with the process because I believe that I have a duty to cooperate, especially in the regard where I know that I've not done anything wrong. So I've given my cooperation in the process.
Yeah.
Yes.
But as much as you don't want to divulge what else was discussed at that meeting on Saturday, with regard to your own situation, what motivations were being advanced as to why you must resign or risk being recalled? What were you said to have done wrong that you must resign?
To honestly tell you, I've not received any reasons of any wrongdoing. And I've not received any reasons because the investigations at the point where my lawyers addressed the issue of the formal communication that went on public platforms was still not completed. In so being that the city of Windhoek had still not written to my party office and responded on the various questions or the reports that were required. So pending the finalization of the investigation, there has not been a final outcome. So if we are transparent and if we follow the rule of law according to our constitution, then we need to treat all parties equally. And we should also do such so that we do not interfere with the processes that are in place.
One thing that I don't understand, Desiree, is that is exactly what you mentioned, that, I mean, the letter by Christine Auhamus, your National Secretary General, states that essentially that there was no conclusive conclusion, if I can call it that way,
Yes.
of that probe.
Yes.
In part because the city of Windhoek did not collaborate really with the party in executing that investigation against you. Now, what surprises me is that the party still went ahead and recalled you while they haven't concluded that investigation to come to a conclusion to say, indeed, wrongdoing has transpired. And the irony of this is that your party president, Dr. Itula, rose to fame on the basis of articles, Constitution article this, sub-article that, how we should, as a nation, always prescribe to those provisions. And then, a year after your party was formed, we see your party seemingly recalling you without any evidence. I mean, how do you describe a situation like that?
I cannot speak on behalf of the National General Secretary, my Chief Patriot, or even the response that came from the city of Windhoek. What I can agree with is that surely the pronouncements that were made publicly was done prematurely. Surely IPC stands for democracy from a grassroots participatory level. So I believe that surely the letter, like I said, that has been sent to my party office has addressed the issues. And I'm hopeful that the truth shall prevail. I'm hopeful that the truth shall eventually be exposed, because I don't have any grudges towards my party. I don't feel angry towards my party, because I think that I have a duty to be accountable as a public office bearer. And my party had to make sure that without any fear of favor, they were following the due process. So it is important for me to go through the process, because as a leader, it is important for us to make sure that we are not just here to go through the good experiences that is provided within the political framework or in your journey as a politician. This is part of molding me to become a stronger person, because I might have came in as a councillor with a certain perception, and it's teaching me to be stronger. It's teaching me to be resilient. It's also teaching me to become a person that stands for what I believe in. And tomorrow, if the people that I'm leading comes to me, this is the same magnitude that I should be fighting their injustices with. Yeah.
So now there's I mean, your situation, I mean, I think there's a council meeting this week, Thursday or so, or is it tomorrow, Wednesday? I'm not too sure. So against this backdrop now of everything that is happening, what do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself a councillor who's still on suspension and who is on suspension or withdrawn, or you think the period of your suspension has lapsed and therefore you will show up at the next council meeting? How do you see yourself right now?
Everything should be done procedurally. I was sworn in on the 2nd of December 2020 as a councillor. The events that occurred, or the aforesaid events, occurred on the 29th of June 2021. At that point, I was still representing my party as a council member at the chamber or at the city of Windhoek, and I was suspended. But I was not stripped from my title as a councillor. The suspension took place, and it is merely a process that effect or makes way for an investigation, so that the party or the alleged allegations that are leveled against the person can be investigated. So hence why I have no intentions of just rocking up at the next council meeting. I'm patiently waiting for the process to be completed, and once my party's decision has been communicated to me, I will then make a decision as to what is the way forward.
And in terms of the quorum, how many people are required in the management committee to form a quorum? Because now you are absent, Mr. Ambuda has seemingly resigned or is withdrawn from the entire council and therefore also not being a member of the management council. What is the quorum number that is required? Because I'm thinking about whether me as a resident of Windhoek must be worried about the lack of leadership, or this leadership vacuum that may impact on me very soon.
Yes, it is unfortunate that our colleague, Mr. Hambuda, has left the council. He was a great asset to us. His experience has added tremendously to our deliberations as the management committee. The quorum that is needed is 3 members. So in my absence and in his absence, they still have 3, other than the 2 ex-officio members, who is the mayor and the deputy mayor, who don't have any voting rights within MC. But the quorum that is required, yes, is 3 members.
Yeah. Your position in the party, I mean, of course, all these things that have transpired and you being on front pages of newspapers are not pleasing, I'm sure, to you, especially when you're on the front page for those kind of allegations. That is one adverse effect, but at a more personal level, are you on, if you are at liberty to tell us, are you on suspension with pay, or you have also lost income as a result of this protracted thing?
Well, the suspension obviously has its own adversary effects. We as councillors, our remuneration is twofold. You get an allowance that is fixed, and then you also get an allowance for attending your meetings. So with that said, you can then derive from the statement. In terms of what has transpired publicly, my lawyers have also written to the city of Windhoek and given them 5 days to rectify the matter that was published by the Namibian on the 29th of June, written by Imanoshe Novene, where he misleadingly quoted that I used my office for gratification, that I used my office to influence or fast track my application, and that I have received the plot. My lawyers are concerned that the city of Windhoek knows that there was no decision derived. I was not involved in the entire process as it transpired, because it's about 21 people. It's 3 different departments or levels that dealt with the application. It is impossible for one person to have so much influence through the various processes. So yes, obviously, they've also spoken to the fact that the message that was painted out there by the Namibian newspaper has obviously adversely affected my reputation as a politician or my future in the political sphere. But however, we'll cross those bridges when we get there. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The final question to you, Desiree, is whether you still, of course you said you are a committed member of your party, you believe in its principles generally, but I just want you to give me a brief overview in hindsight of what has transpired, whether, I mean, it's one thing to have a party and its constitution and its principle, then it's another thing to have party leaders who are supposed to implement these principles. Are you still of the conviction that your party has a good leadership that is committed to implement the constitution of the party as it should be, especially when you have been treated the manner that you think you've been treated?
Well, we should not be blindfolded by what has transpired. IPC is a good party. IPC is also at an infant stage. And these are part of the experiences that will make or break the party. I believe that we are all learning. And because of our constitution, everybody is equal in the eyes of the law. I believe that moving forward, it has also set a trend for other councillors or other leadership levels within the party. How I've been treated, the merits on which I've been, or on which accusations have been leveled, is a different argument. But as for what I feel about my party, I'm still positively of the opinion that yes, we will overcome all the obstacles that come the way of IPC. Yes, I still trust my leadership will do the right thing. And I believe that at the end of the day, the Namibian constitution is there to protect everybody. So predominantly, I'm not discouraged. That I've grown a lot through this experience. My eyes have opened. I've seen a lot of agendas that were hidden, but also in my absence from being a council member, I've also received a great amount of support from my fellow council members, especially coming from the ruling party in SWAPO, the LPM members. Obviously, it's no secret that me and Councillor Sate governors. So I'm positive and I'm hopeful that moving forward, that the current council has the potential to bring in the necessary change that is required. We will definitely work. There will always be obstacles. And we cannot control what comes to us, but we can control how we respond to what's coming to us. But as IPC is growing, I'm sure that we're also learning through the process.
Indeed.
Yes.
Councillor Davids, thank you for coming today. We appreciate your time, really.
Thank you so much, Toigo. It was very nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
That's Councillor Desiree Davids of the IPC, Independent Patriots for Change, at the city of Windhoek. She's battling a lot of tribulations there. Suspension, attempts to recall her, but she had courage to come to the hot seat today and tell her side of the story. Thank you for watching.